All right, what is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, 420. Oh yeah, it's that type of day. It's that type of episode where maybe some influences make you think of this episode a little bit differently. But neither here nor there. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our Marvel Moon Knight After Show, discussing the latest episode of Marvel, discussing some of the latest news from Marvel, which we got a trailer to talk about, which we've been talking about for the last few weeks. I'm talking Thor Love and Thunder, which we'll be talking about in tonight's live stream. So much goodness to go over. Is it in his head? Was it all a dream? Is it the afterlife? We're going to break it all down for you all. I'm so excited to be here with you all, and we are going live. We are here to discuss it all. So before we get into tonight's discussion, make sure if you guys can do us a favor, like the video, share the video, as well as leave your thoughts in the live chat. We'll try to, answer any questions you may have or any awesome comments you might have about the Thor trailer and, of course, this episode. So definitely let's have some fun tonight. And as well, those watching us on the replay, if you can do the same, it'll be greatly appreciated. But with all that being on the way, let me bring in my two amazing co-hosts, starting off with this young lady here, swagged out with the merchandise tonight, representing Canada. We got my girl Amanda. What is going on?
Hey, I have merch.
Swagged
Finally. I have been looking for it, but my friend Stefano Bove _art on Instagram made this. So if you want to check him out, he has Loki caps, he had Captain America caps, and now he has Moon Knight hats. So there's a bit of a glare, but you can kind of see the design. But yeah,
it is fire.
I'm just happy I have some merch.
Yeah, and we were talking about it on the screen. Hopefully more merch to come, Amanda. More and more merch to come. But happy birthday, Steph. This is his birthday today too, right?
Yeah, it's Stefano's birthday.
Stefan, yeah. That is awesome, Amanda. Well, listen, we got Thor to talk about today. We got Moon Knight. We got a lot to discuss. But before we get into today's discussion, Amanda, why don't you let the people at home know where they can find your awesome content?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I am an entertainment journalist and film critic. You can check out my website, candidcinema.com, and my YouTube, Candid Cinema. I have The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent review up on my channel and my site. I have my Moon Knight Episode 4 review, and I get to watch The Northman tomorrow night, so that'll be up over the weekend.
That is awesome, guys. You're here to hear first. And by the way, I know your review's up there now. The Unbearable Weight. Is it something that people should be checking out this weekend, Amanda?
Yeah, even if you're not a big Nick Cage fan, like I haven't seen many of his films, but I loved it. It was a lot of fun, and Pedro Pascal's like A+. So look,
definitely we're like in this Pedro Pascal like renaissance. Well, not renaissance because he never really left, but it's like he's everywhere, and I love it. And I'm excited for this weekend. That film's an original IP. You mentioned Northman. What's that new animated, The Bad Guys or something like that? This is like, listen, guys, we talk about all the time. Oh, sequel this, sequel that. Go support these independent, everywhere at once. Go support these films. If you guys want the original IP, go support them. But like Amanda said, check her out. Her links in the bio. Check out her recent reviews and keep an eye. I can't wait to hear her thoughts on the Northman. I'm very excited to hear her thoughts on that. But with that is one of two of our amazing co-hosts. Bringing in our second one here, representing the East Coast. My man's always keeping me up to date with the latest things to catch on Netflix, new movies, and he just has a great take. I'm talking about Chris from Tait. What's going on, man?
What up?
Happy Wednesday, my friend.
Happy hump day.
Yeah, man, 420. It's that time of the year. This is a perfect episode, right?
Yeah, I guess it actually is. It is.
I wonder if it was purposeful on Marvel. Kevin Feige never does anything without purpose. So this is trippy, to say the least, man.
Yeah, super. My God.
Well, Chris, man, like Amanda did, if you want to let the fine folks at home know, and if this is their first time tuning in or watching the replay, who are you, my friend, and what is the awesome content you have out for the people on your platforms?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Chris Tait, representing Tait's Take on YouTube. Like Elliot said, cover a lot of content, movies, TV shows, documentaries, all that kind of stuff. A lot of streaming stuff, a lot of theater stuff. You can find all my social media is in his description here, is in my bio as well. But yeah, you guys are into that kind of thing. I try to give you a little background on the content before I let you know if it's worth checking out. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen my stuff, check it out. If you like it, give me a subscribe. But yeah, happy to be here. Let's get into this Marvel stuff.
Yes, sir. Do it, guys. Check them out again. Netflix, Hulu shows, documentaries, of course, other movies. Man has amazing taste in movies. And also has some really great taste in comedy too. So definitely check them out, guys. But toss it over to you first, Chris, in regards to new stuff you've been watching this week, man, or maybe the stuff this weekend. Do you plan on seeing the new Nick Cage film or the Northman or the Bad Guys?
I'm late. I was able to watch Ambulance finally last weekend or this weekend that
Okay,
just passed,
okay.
Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So I caught up on that. I don't know that I'm gonna check out Nick Cage in a rush. Maybe I don't know. I gotta watch maybe Amanda's review. She could change my mind. I don't know if I was gonna rush to see you guys. I was never gonna watch The Northman, but the reviews seem really good. Y'all seem happy about it.
Yeah.
So I might try to check that out if I can sneak it in. What else I've been
Mm.
watching? Last week, Amanda got us on Crashing, talked about Crashing with my girl
Yay.
Phoebe. So I ran through that real quick because she said it was quick. It was good little show.
Nice.
I feel like I've been missing something else that I've been watching.
Playoff basketball, of course.
I was about to say, yeah, maybe the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Which has been so far so good, you know.
Yeah, it has been. Booker out for a couple of weeks, which I think is going to be a breeze anyway for the Suns to beat the Pelicans, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't want nobody to get hurt, but if the Pelicans
Yeah.
could just take advantage, just get them out the way right now, it'd be really cool with me.
Yeah, especially for the Warriors. But well, quickly, Chris, your thoughts on Ambulance, man? Did you have a good Michael Bay time, or was it just too much nonsense for you, man?
Yeah, no, I feel like it was overhyped because I was expecting it to be good, and it was good, but I wasn't like blown. Like I was like my mind wasn't blown away, and it wasn't too over the top Michael Bay stuff. I just feel like I've seen movies in that realm where I'm just like more into it, like a movie like The Town. I prefer more than a movie like Ambulance.
Yeah.
Even the movie with Statham, Jason, that came out maybe last year. Which one am I thinking of? What's it called?
With the Guy Ritchie film,
Might have been Guy Ritchie.
when he was like a bank, or like they were keeping the safe of the truck, the safe
Yes,
truck. Safe
yes. Even that one I like a little more than this. Wrath of Man.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Ambulance is a good movie, but it's like a good stream movie. Like you don't need to rush out to the theaters, I don't think. But still enjoyed it.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, definitely. Like I said, The Northman's not for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. I definitely would recommend that. But same to you, Amanda. Was there anything besides the movies you mentioned up top? Was there anything else that you're excited for this weekend, or show or movie you caught this past week?
Yeah, I started my Tom Cruise marathon again because I did it in lockdown. So I watched all of his action films. I went back and watched Mission Impossible, all of that. So ahead of like Top Gun Maverick, I'm like, let me watch, I have like some blind spots for older movies. So I ended up watching Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, thoughts.
First time.
That film is trippy as hell.
It is, and I really liked it. I was just so into it, but it was a bit long. Like they could have cut it a bit. If it's like almost 3 hours. So I got through it. Really liked it. There's just something about Tom Cruise. I don't know what it is. The guy is great. He has charisma. He's so fun, and I love him. So that's what I've been doing apart from like recent releases. Which I have The Northman tomorrow, so I'm excited about that this weekend.
Nice. Well, yeah, guys, let us know in the chat what movies or shows you guys been watching lately and what you guys are excited for. We got Rims in the building showing some love. We got Silver Scale showing some love. We got the Geek in the building. Jacob wishing everyone a 420. Happy 420 to you. Again, this episode was the perfect episode for this type of this day. But speaking of 420 and weird and crazy and wonky, we got a trailer that dropped a couple days ago. And we were literally talking about this for the last couple of weeks. Like, when are we going to get that Love and Thunder? Is it just going to drop? Which, by the way, Marvel, I prefer this method. 2 months before the movie comes out, I like this idea. I hope they do this moving forward, especially with everything being so like close to each other. I like this idea, but I know a lot of people were clamping at the bits for it, and it's here. Yeah. So, I mean, before we play it, Amanda and Chris, just briefly, initial thoughts, starting with you, Chris. Were you smiling from ear to ear? You just like, oh no, man, what we getting into this time around?
I have 100% faith in this movie because I loved Ragnarok. So I have, I love seeing Korg. I love Taika. So like, I just know that I would like this movie. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't care what the trailer shows me. At the end of the trailer, I wasn't like, oh my God, WTF, like how I was with a lot of the Strange trailers. But I think that's kind of good because it is just a teaser. So I don't need to be blown away. I don't need to know where we're going. I just need to see Thor and to see the characters that I like. I don't know that I watched it twice. I don't know that I saw Rocket. So that kind of worries me. Maybe you guys saw him, but besides that, I thought it was just like a fine trailer. Like I wasn't like, okay, this shouldn't shake the internet, but it's like, okay, it's good that this is coming soon. And I 100% agree with you, Elliot, that I like them closer to the movie, so we're not going
Yes.
crazy for so much longer. So and people are just complaining because they're just used to seeing it earlier.
Right.
But if they can just change the people's mindsets, just be like, look, this is how it is going to be. I think it's better.
I agree. Tossing it to you, Amanda, your initial thoughts, and just to that point that Chris was talking about, do you like that strategy of 2 months, especially Marvel, 13 years in the game? We're going to see these movies. I mean, some characters need a little bit more hype, but this is the 4th Thor film. We don't need to be sold on at this point. But your thoughts on the initial thoughts on the trailer, and of course, your thoughts on this strategy moving forward with the trailer releases.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it being this close to the actual movie being released helps, I guess, the hype level, because you wait for so long, and then we're like, the fans are also getting it trending because we're waiting for it. So then we're also helping with the marketing at the exact same time. Yeah, I really loved this teaser. I love this teaser, and like, I do not like Ragnarok. Like, it is like bottom, like number 22 out of 20, whatever. Like, it's in the bottom of the barrel for me. And I had very low expectations going into this teaser, and then I was pleasantly surprised. I was just like smiling. I was having a good time. The Star-Lord joke was awesome at the end of it, and I was laughing. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll love it, but I really enjoyed this trailer. You hooked me when you put Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses in that teaser. So it's like a switch flipped in me. So I was sold. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the trailer, let's go ahead and check it out and kind of talk about it as a crew here and get you guys' thoughts in the chat. So without enough being said, let's see what this trailer's about.
These hands were once used for battle. Now they're but humble tools for peace. I need to figure out exactly who I am. I want to choose my own path, live in the moment. My superheroing days are over.
She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as the bright blue sky.
Remember what I told you? You ever feel lost? Just look into the eyes of the people that you love. Not me.
What? Just listening.
Sweet child of mine. Ooh, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda, I mean, let's talk about it. What was some of those standout moments for you? Obviously, that moment at the end. I mean, take it away, Amanda. What did you love the most about it?
Natalie freaking Portman is back after being sidelined in the second one. Said she wouldn't return because there wasn't a big enough role for her. And I'm just so happy that she is back as the mighty Thor. Her backstory is ridiculously good, emotional, and I just cannot wait for Thor and Jane Foster to interact again. I love that. I love that Thor's going on his own journey. Yeah. He's trying to find himself again. I think that my prediction for Thor Love and Thunder is that he's going to go back to the roots of who Thor actually is from the first movie. And I would really, but he's just like, he's wiser. He knows a bit more. So I think that that's what's going to come full circle. And that's what I'm really excited about. But listen, Taika Waititi is writing this one. He wrote this movie, and I think that's going to be the big difference from Ragnarok to this, is that there is going to be a bit more of a structure. There's going to be one voice in knowing the story, and I think that we got that in this teaser alone. So I'm really excited for this.
I couldn't agree with you more when it came to your comments about Natalie Portman being attached to it, because there has to be, for someone that didn't have the best experience with the last Thor film with Alan Taylor and some of the stuff that went on behind the scenes with Patty Jenkins and all the stuff that didn't play out. So I thought it was a done deal. But Taika, the script, I mean, we didn't get Gore, the God Butcher, in here, but I mean, Christian Bale, who said he was never going to do a comic book movie. There has to be something in that script, like you alluded to, Amanda. But Chris, man, what were some of the standout moments for you in regards to just whether it's the music, the journey we're going on with Thor, the color palette? I mean, this looks great, man, from a visual standpoint. We got Zeus in the building. What were some of your standout moments, man?
Yeah, a lot of those things, like just like I'm always like, oh, it reminds me of this guy. So the first thing when you see the Stormbreaker, I'm like, damn, he's walking away like Thanos did. So it reminded me of that. This scene right here where you got the tree, that reminded me of Lion King. I don't know about mixed and Karate Kid. But I think a lot of besides that, it's cool to see Portman, of course, but I'm happy that's like she could probably get some like justice, like for all that stuff that she had to deal with. But I got to see the story to I got to see how they get there, because like how we last left off, she wasn't a god. She was just like just like
human being.
She was just like like a fish out of water on Asgard. And one of my favorite lines is from Odin, when he's like they're trying to tell Odin to like help her and fix her, and he's like she's weak, and he's like it's in their DNA is to fail, like to die, like they're mortals. So that's how I left her in my brain. So I'm like, this is like a whole new world. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and try to see what Zeus brings. Yeah, good trailer.
To the point of which you all just mentioned in regards to Natalie Portman's story, and Amanda alluded to it. Comics, she's diagnosed with cancer, and every time she powers up to the Thor, it kind of doesn't do herself well every time she does that. So I wonder if that's a story they're going to implement, if they're going to kind of maybe have something else there, which will be interesting to see. But I mean, come on. I mean, look at this look, this design. She put in the work. She's. I mean, she looks badass without a doubt. But Mjolnir, I mean, it's been reassembled. The thoughts and theories on how that worked. Amanda, any thoughts on how she was able to get this destroyed once hammered back together?
I don't know. Maybe Peter Dinklage came in and be like, I can fix it. Or like she's a variant or something.
We are dealing with the multiverse of madness, Amanda.
You could be somewhere else. And then they can't have two Thors in the same timeline. And then, love, heartbreak, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of fitting with what they're going for in that title.
Chris, man, any thoughts, any predictions going on in your head, man, in regards to how she was able to wield this? Is it a variant? Is it the Jane that we knew from the previous Thor films?
I don't know, man. She's looking so brolic in that little clip. I was like, what the hell? She's on them damn deadlifts. But I was like, man, I hope they don't make it like so that wielding the hammer is so easy, and like because the cap thing was a big deal. And then now you're throwing it to someone else. Like, I hope they handle it delicately, which I'm sure they will. Yeah. But I was like, damn, like this was a big deal in Ultron, to be like now. Okay, it's like whoever wants to touch it can just pick it up. But we'll see. We'll see how they handle it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they handle that too. Because as you mentioned, obviously Odin held the hammer at once. Obviously, we know Thor. Not Ultron, but your boy Vision, which to hold the conversation, if you put the Mjolnir in an elevator, it's a machine, it can hold it. Is it worthy? So we don't know if Vision is really worthy of it. And then of course Jane. So it'll be really interesting. I like your theory though, Amanda, about the whole variant, and she in another universe is her own version of Thor. But only thing that I wouldn't like about that is it takes away from like the Jane that we knew. Like obviously we won't have the backstory, all that. So I would like it be the character that we've learned from the previous two Thors. But hey, she might still be involved. But I like where your head's at, and especially kind of dive into this episode of Moon Knight. I know there's been a lot of conversation in regards to Moon Knight's connections to Thor, who, to Chris's point, Moon Knight actually wielded Mjolnir at one point in the comments because apparently I believe Moon Knight said that it was made out of moon. So it was able to, Khonshu was able to wield it and when he was under the suit. So I don't know if there's any connections there, but very excited to see all that. But as you guys point to, I mean, it looks gorgeous. Russell Crowe in the building as Zeus. We got the Guardians there. And I think, Chris, I don't know if you can see Rocket in between.
I seen him on this time. Yeah, they got him tucked away. Man, got him some shine. All good.
So hopefully, which to that point, to that point, Chris, tossing to you, Guardians, man, are they 10 minutes at the beginning, pop up at the end, just a little cameo? How big of a role do you think the Guardians plays in this film?
When I first watched it, I thought they would be a substantial part of the movie, but I can imagine there's an angle where people say, well, this is a Thor movie. We don't want to clutter it with anyone else and distract people. But I mean, the fact that you have the title of as Guardians of the Galaxy, it just works too perfectly for you to ignore them.
Yeah.
But just by putting him in the trailer that much, I feel like we have to see a good amount of them.
Amanda, your thoughts on the Guardians? Will they just be a cameo, a Hulk presence like in Thor Ragnarok, or maybe even Peter being more involved in the rest of the Guardians? Do you think they're going to get us a substantial amount of screen time in this film?
I think that when he puts Stormbreaker into the ground and like he walks away from the Guardians, that's like near the beginning. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna we'll get like the opening with them, and then he'll leave, and then hopefully they come back for like a final battle type of
Yeah.
situation, because that would make more sense. But yeah, I think that they should be in it if they're in the trailer like that much, like they have to have that connection with Thor. So yeah, I think I'd say, if we have to say percentage, I'd say maybe like 60% of it, they'll be in it.
I think I'm with you there, man. I think we're going to get them, and as the trailer kind of alludes to him at the beginning, and them, him, Thor losing the weight, and maybe him and Star-Lord having a little bit of back and forth of, because even Star-Lord had a little, he was, they didn't say the best things about him. He's, what they say, one cookie away from being fat or whatever. So they're probably competing. And especially, I mean, Gamora, we did see from the set photos that Zoe Saldana will be in this film. So I think this would be a perfect catalyst to show them going on whatever venture they're going into in volume 3, especially with Adam Warlock and all that stuff. So I think it'll be a great way to kind of set that up. But listen, I'm here for it. I guess the last question I have for you all, Chris, do you want to see, which I know we probably will, but do you think we need to see the look, the design, the feel of our main villain played by Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher?
You mean in the trailer?
In the trailer for the next trailer. Do you think they're going to show him the next one? Do we need to see this character?
Well, I'm always going to say, no, you don't need to see anything. Yeah. And Marvel doesn't need to show us anything because this is Thor, like Amanda said. Like, this is not a new character where it's like Moon Knight where you got to give us something.
Yep.
So, no, I don't need it, but I feel like they will. Like, I don't know. I mean, I just don't see a world that they don't, but we don't need it.
What about you, Amanda? Do you? Because again, the biggest talk around town right now is the toy leaks that's come out. A lot of people are kind of complaining about the look and the design of the creature not being like one for the comics, which is so funny. It's like when people bring that up, they probably haven't even read those comics to be like, oh, it's not comic book accurate. But neither here nor there. Do you think we need to see him in the next trailer? And do you personally want to see Christian Bale in the next trailer?
I agree with Chris. Like, the more they don't show us about this movie, the happier I'll be. I think that having Russell Crowe not facing the camera in the teaser gives him the opportunity to have like a whole Zeus moment in the next trailer. And I wouldn't mind seeing like Russell Crowe over Christian Bale in this case. Considering how Gore the God Butcher actually looks, I think it would be really cool to leave that as a surprise in the actual movie. Yeah. But I feel like we're gonna get Zeus before God the Gore. Oh my God, I can't talk. Gore the God Butcher. It's a tongue twister. Say it 5 times fast. It is. But yeah, we'll see Russell Crowe instead of Christian Bale, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so. And like you said, Chris, and I don't think we need to see Christian Bale, but I mean, again, it's a big star. You're gonna, you want people to be excited to see because you haven't seen this man in a comic book film since 2012. I think was The Dark Knight Rises, and like I said, he literally said. He verbatim said, I don't want to do comic book movies anymore. I think even Ethan Hawke said that at one point before he got this role. So it's very
but in 2012, Marvel wasn't doing what they're doing now.
Very true.
So he's like everything. Like Infinity War changed everything.
Yeah, man. And I think to the point like Amanda brought up earlier, I think there's something to be said about Taika, man. Whether his work on Star Wars stuff, obviously, is in his own films, Jojo Rabbit, this, that, and the other. I think a lot of people want to work with him. I think there's some type of energy, some type of personality that he brings that people want to work with him. So I'm excited. For it. The trailer was great. Let us know, everyone that's watching this live, if you were to rate this trailer from 1 to 10. Amanda, Chris, what would you guys give the score as far as trailer? And again, it's teaser trailer, but what would you rate this teaser trailer on a scale of 1 to 10? Starting with you.
I'm at an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
I'm at an 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10, I'd say.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I would have put it at a 6.5, 7 out of 10 for a teaser trailer.
Gotcha. I'm right with it, man. I'm like around an 8. Well, actually, I might do a 9 because this when a trailer puts a smile on my face and gives me a good like sense of, like you said, Amanda, the journey we're gonna probably be going on in a teaser, and then that shot of Natalie Portman was great. So I'm gonna go 9. I'm pretty high on this teaser. I'm very excited for it. But again, let us know in the chat your rating and of course your thoughts on the replay as well. But speaking of ratings and thoughts and opinions on things, we got an episode to discuss tonight of Moon Knight called The Tomb. Amanda, now we did get the opportunity to see this a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you revisited. The episode dropped today, but your initial thoughts after finishing this 4th episode, which critics that got it like a week before they gave it out to the press said that this episode will break the internet, will break everyone's minds. What do you think about this episode?
The first time I watched it, like I had avoided trailers. I only saw like the first Moon Knight trailer, and then I watched all 4 together. Like I binged it. And then with the 4th episode, I was just so invested with it. And then watching it back today, I watched it this morning. It still hits those beats that like it just sucks you in. And then when the twist does happen, it still kind of leaves you like, oh my God, they actually did this. Not because the story went there, but because of the performances, because of the camera work that went into it, because of the concept. I think that's what just makes this so unique. So both times I was shook, but when I watched it those weeks ago, now we waited like a whole month for everyone to like come together to watch it.
Yeah.
This episode stayed in my head more so than the other 3. And that says a lot about the direction.
Stayed in your head. You know,
Yeah.
wordplay. Okay.
I got you. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think this is the best out of the 4 for me personally.
Okay. Chris, man, same for you. I know, for the last 4 weeks, the episode's been kind of, this was fun. This was, but where are you at with this 4th one? Was it something that lived up to the hype in regards to everyone talking about this being that one episode?
Yeah, if I was reviewing all 4 of these, I would have said, yeah, the 4th one will be the best one. I mean, 1 is very good, but I think 3 would have been my lowest. So then, like coming off after 3, then it gets even boosted even higher because I didn't love all of that stuff. I don't know that I would have said that it would have broken the internet. I don't think that we're there yet, but I just think it's leaving us very confused. Of course, Wanda did a lot of that too, but maybe a lot of the other shows haven't done that, like how this is. So it has that that kind of appeal where it's like, okay, like we really don't know where we're going for episode 5 and 6, and for it only to be 2 more left, it's like a huge little, like what if? Again, Layla impressed me again even more every week. I'm just like, damn, this girl is really. She's really stepping up. One of the leaders as like a female MCU character. So really liked what I saw from her out of this episode. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I share a lot of you guys' sentiments, but I might be a little lukewarm on this episode. I've seen it 3 times now. The first time I was like you guys, I was very shook, very like, where do we go now? Second time, I'm like, okay, yeah, I like this elements, like that elements. But then the third time around, I'm like, and we'll talk about it. And you guys talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think Amanda brought it up in regards to the chemistry between Layla and Mark. I don't know. It's just the taste of how the MCU throws in romance to me just feels so like out of place sometimes, especially in the position they're in. That kind of threw me for a loop. And I don't know, tonally speaking, it just wasn't all the way consistent for me. But the horror elements and that ending definitely made the episode for me. But we'll get into it here. But kind of opening up the episode, starting with you, Amanda, as we open with Kanju, we see him getting in prison, and there's like 9 other guys that are there with him. My question for you is, do you want to know about how those other guys got in prison, and do we expect them to be unleashed at some point?
Of course I want to know. Of course they put it there, but guess what?
Yeah.
They just used it for that scene, and we're never going to know. They're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be unleashed in this season. I really don't think so. And it sucks because I feel like it's just going to be more contained with Steven's story and with Mark's story, especially if we get a certain someone in the next 2 episodes, a third person added to this equation. I don't think we're going to see them unleash. I would love to get a spinoff maybe of just the gods, like a god show, because they're going to have to do that if it ties in with like Thor, and then we can get the underworld and just put something together in a spinoff show. I think that would be really cool to kind of do a different god each episode.
Yeah.
Marvel, if you're listening, I think that would be really cool because we want to know about this mythology. And I think that that's the best way to do it instead of waiting for a movie to kind of explore all that, because it's hard to do it in the last 2 episodes of Moon Knight, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it, but I don't think they're going to do it.
We'll see. I mean, we talked about Thor. I mean, that's obviously going to be a Gore is going to be a god killer. So I wonder if he's going to play into that. And then I can't remember. I wish I could give them credit, but I've been hearing some rumblings in regards to this show connected to Black Panther. And some people alluding to the woman that we talked about last week, had a Thor or whatever, that she's connected to the Black Panther lore, and she might be like a villain of the Black Panther, which makes me wonder if that's going to be like their reason of explaining like Boss, the god, is in prison or whatnot, and that might explain, the whole passing of the torch or whatnot. But Chris, man, your thoughts on this opening, and do you think we'll ever explore those other gods being in prison?
Ever? Maybe. Definitely not in the next 2 weeks. But I think it was just one of those things where Marvel's like, let me just keep this door open just in case for the future. Like, we touched on it and let you know, like, okay, this is a much, much bigger world than what we're giving you now. So I think it was just like informative, but not like, okay, like no action required.
Right. It'll be really interesting to see if they ever explore that again. Because when Conju gets released, how are they going to go about doing that? Like, what do you have to do to get out of prison? I guess. Which hashtag free?
How much time do you have to do?
Yeah. How much time do you have to serve? Which, like I said, let's get that hashtag trending for that's free Conju. We can get more Moon Knight because Moon Knight and Mr. Knight were definitely absent.
Well, that's probably why you felt so lukewarm about the episode, because you didn't get that. The whole season you've been complaining about that. So then they take him out completely. It's the first episode without him at all, unless you count the fucking action figure.
Episode 1, we get him at the very end. We spend a little bit more time with Mr. Episode 2. So yeah, that was one of my biggest gripes. Was I love Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, and we didn't get any of them in this episode. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But as you all alluded to, Lila, she continues to just show and prove herself to be a very formidable, very interesting character, as she's able to take out Arthur the Man pretty easily. And we see the conversation at hand with Steven lying about him and Mark coming to terms in regards to, once Conju's off the table, Mark's off the table, and we see Lila, she's like, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and do this mission without Mark, which I'm like, that's not a good idea because we know Steven can't fend for his own. But tossing it to you here, Amanda, in regards to just your thoughts of building up to this adventure, building up to this journey. Are you sold on this moment here, which we see Mark, or I should say Steven, and as Mark is warning him, stay away from my wife, which, I don't know why I was thinking of Will Smith during that moment. Keep my wife's name. Oh, wow, and he smacked him, but he actually hit him. But Amanda, your thoughts on this chemistry, this relationship? Are you enjoying it, or is it just kind of Marvel, again, throwing in some romance just for the sake of romance?
I mean, they're trying. I think they're trying to make Steven relatable, where like he feels so dorky and like he's a misfit, kind of like he doesn't fit in anywhere. So they want to make that connection with Layla happen. I didn't mind it for Steven. I thought it was like really cute because he's always wanted a relationship. But I do think this is going to sound so weird, but I think that Steven and Layla have better chemistry than Mark and Layla. And like, it's hard to even like say it that way, but I feel like Steven and her click more than Mark and Layla. But
they seem to have more in common. From an intellectual standpoint.
Exactly. So I was dying of laughter when he like punches himself and like Mark's like punching Steven. Like, it was just like the funniest moment for me. I thought that was fine. It was fun because you have to have some sort of humor into it, but that it also suits the character. So I didn't think that was kind of out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind it. Is it the best? No, but I don't mind it.
What about you, Chris, in regards to the whole buildup of Mark not wanting Steven to make a move on his wife, which, I mean, technically it is his wife, because they're sharing the same body, and that whole confusion. But did you feel like it was kind of out of left field? Or did you think, like Amanda said, it's just kind of that Marvel comedy and kind of that romance that they want to throw in just to make it more, I guess, relatable in a sense?
He doesn't identify as Mark in this moment, so you need to respect that. No, I thought, because I prefer Steven anyway, so... And then they did the fake makeout, which would have made me mad, because I always want to see makeouts. And like whether I think the chemistry is 100% there or not, I thought that the scene was just well acted. Like, it was very realistic how Steven is like not smooth and not good with the ladies, but he still wanted to. And like, it makes sense why she would be like falling for him, because he has the physical attributes, but then now he's adding this like kindness, this softness that she never would have gotten from Mark. So like it makes sense why she's like into him. So I wasn't upset about that scene at all.
I guess I'm on the island on this one, guys. Like, I just feel it didn't like destroy, like, oh my gosh, here's Marvel.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm just not, I didn't think I didn't need that. I didn't need them to have this romance. I'm not saying she's gonna now want to marry Steven, but I just felt like there's a time and place for everything. And I just feel like that wasn't the time or the place as far as at that point in the episode, especially later on when Layla wants to confront him about her dad. I'm like, we're on a mission. Why are we concerned about this
Yeah, not
nonsense?
now.
Yeah,
Read
that was
the
my
book.
only thing. Like, I wish we could have spent more time doing something else. But like I said, it seems like I'm the only one on this one with the love triangle per se. But cutting into the kind of the meat and potatoes, which might actually speak to a little bit more what's going on with Mark and Steven. But they come across the Eye of Hortus, which is the protection or protector of the afterlife, which I think is what we're getting into a little bit later. But this is where we get into the fun spot for me, because I'm a big horror fan, supernatural alert going on here. Amanda.
But before we get to that,
Yeah,
go
ahead, man.
Maybe I missed it. I could have fell asleep or blinked, or I don't know. But what was the point? I thought that like him even falling into the cave, like I thought they were trying to allude that the third personality was taking over the body. Like did he like hit himself to fall down? Like, was that just for humor or what? Like what happened there?
The which part? When he
like,
hit it?
Yeah, like he like it's like he hit himself in the face and then he rolls down and then you know she has to like fix him up right after they kissed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mark,
I thought that was go ahead, Amanda. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Mark punched himself because
That's how I took it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
because that was
got
the
it.
only for
Like,
me
you
that
kissed
like
my
that was
wife.
the only yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because he said in the mirror, he's like, I'm gonna throw us both off of a cliff, which I died.
Gotcha. So
but
I didn't know
yeah.
that he could even do that.
That's a
I
good
guess-
point, though,
Yeah.
Chris. Yeah, because we haven't seen
Also true.
physical, like we haven't seen Mark be able to use the body when he's not in the body. So it is. I don't know
Right.
if that's was a
Because
plot
then
hole
just
or
like
convenience,
take it over then
if you have that
if-
power.
if-
Or
yeah,
they're
exactly.
becoming more connected and they trust
that
each other,
spin.
so they're letting letting each other in, kind of. So then
Yeah.
the physical aspect kicks in. Maybe.
I like that idea because I think, and we'll talk about it later, and we talked about it in the last few weeks. Once Mark and Steven, whoever this third personality is, once they work together, they're going to be like a, well-oiled machine if it
Yeah.
ever gets to that point. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is a good point that you bring up, Chris, because I was I totally forgot about that. I was like, wait, if he's able to hit himself, why, like you just mentioned, why isn't he able to just take over the body if he's able to
Right.
take it over at that point? But I think Amanda makes a good point in regards with this has been, they spent some more time together. There's, even though he just betrayed him by making out with his wife, they're growing together per se. They're learning to kind of work together in a certain synchronized way. But going to the moment here, Amanda, in regards to the horror elements, and I think this is when Kevin Feige and the producer were talking about like pulling away, like, are we really going to do this? Yeah, that scene with the protector creature cutting up the man, mummifying him, putting his guts and organs, and like, this is Marvel. I'm like, okay. I mean, we didn't see like blood and guts squirt all over the place, but this is the most like scary, creepy scene that I think we've ever, I hate to say ever, but correct me if I'm wrong, ever gotten Marvel before. Your thoughts on this scene, Amanda?
I really enjoyed it. You also had like Steven, who was scared but trying to be brave at the same time because of Layla. So I thought that really worked in this case. I also love that Steven was the one like, no, I'm going to go in. I'm going to get this, this map or whatever they had to get. I forgot, to like figure it out. So he took control of the situation, but I loved this scene so much. As you said, there's a darker tone. We haven't seen something like this. Total mummy vibes, a bit darker maybe from the mummy. I love the creature and the makeup that he had on, but I feel like they built the tension extremely well.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like when there's less talking and you're just showing me what's happening, like where they are and how the creature's coming to get them. I thought that was really effective in that case. But yeah, it was strong, different, and I was very happy with how Layla took care of it afterwards.
Yeah, 100%, man. Chris, same for you, man. I know you're not the biggest horror fan, but I think you appreciate this scene, right? In regards to the horror vibes for my horror fans out there, the creature design reminded me of there's a film called The Descent, which are like women going into caves and there's these creatures. One of the best horror films like ever, and also like the noise they make reminded me a little bit of The Last of Us. But your thoughts on this whole creature feature moment, and were you watching it at night, Chris, and did you have to turn on the lights when you were watching it, my friend?
I know the sun was out. I think I had to watch all of these like before because I had to watch before the live. Yeah, exactly. So like I didn't watch at night. I did appreciate this scene, and it was creepy, which is what you want from this scene. And I was like, okay, you're invested. You're wondering how they're gonna get out of this. The dude it's gross. The sounds are gross. Even if you don't, it could be gross without seeing all the blood and guts, because you understand like what's happening. The sound effects were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I liked what happened after, like the fight scene with Layla after, as much as I liked the buildup of like the actual like seeing the creature, what he's doing, what he's cutting up. I didn't love the whole like cave, her going in and out. I was like very confused about what was happening there, but the buildup I thought was good.
Yeah, to your point, yeah, it was a little, I don't want to say clumsy, but it was kind of like awkwardly choreographed
It was
when
a
she
little
was like
kinda
getting
like-
pulled. Yeah.
It's like a younger show. Like, okay, like this is like you just showed someone getting cut up. So like obviously it's not for kids, but then like the next scene it was like
Peekaboo.
okay, like yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I agree. But again, it does go to show her, again, she didn't need anyone. She didn't need Mark or Steven to help her out. She stabbed that creature, which I think Justin asked. I think as far as like the creature, I don't know if they gave it a name, but I think they said they were the protectors of the tombs, which like Amanda said, very mummy-ish. When all those creatures were trying to protect, I can't think of the mummy's character name in that film, but he had his like minions to protect not anyone disturbing the tombs there. So but very, very awesome creature design. I hope we get more of those vibes in future episodes, hopefully, with either those creatures or other creatures out there bumping in the night like that we got with the jackal. And we know that there's a werewolf by night that is attached to Moon Knight. So if we can get more supernatural, I'm here for it. But meanwhile, while that's going on, Amanda, we see Steven comes across Alexander the Great, which we get Ahmed. This is where he's been hidden because they put the two and two together with the horse and the voice, and it's in the voice. And that was the avatar at one point was a pharaoh of Ahmed. Again, this is the stuff to me that I really enjoy because it's just like, obviously taking historical stuff, remixing it with the Marvel vibes. Your thoughts on all this kind of mummy, Indiana Jones story plotting that we got there?
I just love that it was Steven in there because he knows so much about it. He's so knowledgeable and he loves this stuff. So I think that's what added to the scene was that his excitement made you excited about what he's uncovering. But yeah, I thought the sarcophagus was cool. The tomb was cool. Walking into it, you felt that it was like this grand, tomb for Alexander the Great. You could feel the richness of it. I think if that's the right word for that one. But yeah, you could feel that the production design was good. So I think that's the one takeaway as well from Moon Knight is that the production design's been great, cinematography, all that stuff. So it's been on point. But it felt like it was a big moment because Steven was excited. So I like that.
I agree, man. Chris, your thoughts on this whole, again, tying in the historical stuff, Alexander the Great, and tying into, grounded stuff, and then obviously the makeup stuff from the Marvel, just your whole idea or your whole thoughts on this discovery by Mark finding Alexander's Great tomb.
Yeah, me, I'm a Steven fan. And to rewind for a second, I like the line when he's, telling Mark why he can do this about the muscle memory and all that. Like, I like that scene a lot because it wasn't like too jokey, but it was still like just perfectly like, okay, just toting that line of like really funny, but not like too cheesy. So I like that. And yeah, I think the historical part is probably like the best part of the show. So like bringing in Alexander the Great type elements and just the excitement that he shares, it brings us back to episode 1 with this kind of nerd of the museum. And it's like, damn, like you weren't even allowed to talk about this to the customers of the museum. You're out there selling maps, and now you're actually living it. So it's like imagine his actual excitement. Yeah. So I thought it was cool.
Well said, man. Yeah, and also too, again, I know people love the Steven, and I'm appreciating Steven, but I will say I'll give him kudos because just thinking about Steven in episode 1, scared, timid, running away from the jackal, which should be the case. If you see a jackal, you would probably run. But just seeing the growth, like he's in these tombs, like you guys mentioned, he's using his intellect to discover these things, and as the weeks have gone on, he's discovered more things and becoming his own kind of hero of his own story of a certain extent, going on this journey. So I do applaud the discovery here by Steven at this point. But getting into a conversation, and before we do so, quick shout out to Silver Scale with the super chat. The gore of this scene versus the fascinating way Steven was describing the entombing process, a little girl and me. Yeah, again.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love Steven. And again, he's that every man, right? He's not your heroes. He's one of us, which I do appreciate.
We need Steven merch, Amanda. Tell your boy.
Yeah,
I will tell him. Got you.
More Steven merch. But shout out to you, Silver Scale. Great point there, and appreciate you being in here today, enjoying the conversation. But as speaking of conversations, and we talked about it last week as far as putting 2 and 2 together regarding what happened to Lila's dad. This is where Arthur comes in with his glass in his shoes and speaking the truth in regards to, we kind of thought this was the case, but he pretty much lays it on her in regards to your dad. He died. Your man was behind it. And of course, she doesn't believe him right away. But when he tells her the stuff that he was wearing and all this stuff is starting to make sense. So tossing it to you, Chris, here in this moment, did you feel bad for Lila? Did you feel like she was this was a moment she's been waiting for the longest, in the way that it all played out? What do you think about this scene, man?
Yeah, I think this scene was like something we kind of predicted last week or on other previous weeks about like, okay, this dude had something, to do with it, which I guess was a little bit better when we find out, Mark's side of the story than him actually like killing her dad. A little bit better, but very creepy that that's the reason why you guys even met. So it's got to be confusing for her.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a little crazy. Yeah, I thought I was cool with this scene, and I was just like, I was still always on the fence with Ethan in this series. But then at the end we'll get to that. I like that, seeing him in that scene to see that the range there. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that part.
What do you think about this reveal, Amanda? Was it something that you feel we could have maybe waited another week? Did it just finally have to be put out in the air in regards to how her father was died? How did you feel the execution was for that?
I feel like the placement was fine in this episode. I just didn't like how it was executed, just because like it felt random that Arthur popped up. But if Arthur and Layla were like, they had another encounter, like that would have made more sense maybe in episode 2 when they first saw each other, maybe, and like Steven was like trying to run away or something. They had a moment to themselves. But I don't know, like it just felt off, but it still worked for what it was, which is like majority of these 6 episodes that happen with the MCU. It's like, this is what we're getting. This is the information that we're getting. Do I like the way they did it? No, but it kind of has to be placed it has to be placed for it to move forward. I absolutely love Ethan Hawke. I think he's smashing it out of the park. I like the way that he delivers his lines. I think it's just a different way to play a villain, and he's killing it. So, it's always good to find out more about Layla and her backstory. I think it's really important moving forward. So,
I think you touched on a point that we've talked about even last year. These 6 episodes are kind of hurting the shows. Like, because everything does feel like you could have maybe put this here, you could have maybe put that there, and it feels like they have to like wrap up certain things a little bit sooner or later. Because I think that reveal to me could have been maybe another episode to get that moment. Because again, my whole thing of there's a time and place. Because we go to the next scene, Mark is up, or Steven's happy, he finds Ahmed, he has the item in his hand, but she take that big thing that you guys have been, fighting for and looking for and almost dying for. But now she wants answers she wants to talk to Mark. What happened to my dad? And he tells the reveal there. And we talked about a couple weeks ago regarding how are they going to tie in the comic books to the origins of Mark Spector and what happened with Kanju, where they pretty much allude to it here that he tried to stop his very greedy, evil partner by the name. Well, they don't even say the name, but safe to assume it's Bushman, which is a character very synonymous with this character. But what do you think, Chris, in regards to this whole moment there? And your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I was going to say too, because they kind of, like there's obviously like a level of like, well, how they normally do these things in the shows is, let's say me and Amanda have some secret and Elliot doesn't know, and like I'm revealing it to Elliot, but like Elliot would be in the room, and Amanda would be in the room, so it's like Amanda's looking at me like, wait, what? Like, so it's like you see that moment of like the controversy of the three people.
Yeah.
And I think that they could have leaned in more on the fact that like she pulls up on Steven, who found what they're looking for, which was pretty creepy, by the way, in its own right. But she's asking him for answers that he doesn't have. So like that could have been like they could have like harped on that, like, look, like you're mad at someone who's you can't get mad at because he's not really the person that's there. It kind of was just like,
yeah,
I don't think they really like dialed in enough on that, like what it could have been, like the confusing moment of like for the viewer, like, damn, like who do you get mad at? Like,
right,
he was not his fault. It's because it's not like the Winter Soldier where it's like, okay, you were under this spell,
brainwashed,
so you're brainwashed. So it's like it was you want. I guess maybe it's like similar. It's like that type of thing where it's like they could have just gave me a little bit more of this like the complexity of like. To be mad at someone, but you just kissed this guy Steven, knowing it was a different person. So like you can't ask him about this thing that he doesn't have the answer to.
Yeah,
and that even speaks to and getting your thoughts on it here, Amanda. But that even speaks to me when I was bringing up the whole 6 episodes thing. Like to me, at that moment, as you just mentioned, the whole kissing thing, and then to address that particular situation at hand, there, I just feel like it just felt a little bit out of place for me in regards to that.
Or you make it so that. Let's say I'm on the fence about the 6 episode thing, but let's say you stretch it out, and now you get more time with Layla and more time with Steven.
Yeah.
Let's say Mark is trying to get something across to Steven. He's like, look, I need to get in. Like, I need to tell her this, and they get closer. They get closer. Mark now tells Steven the truth. Yep. So now Steven holds this truth now.
Yeah. Yep.
So then when she finds out, like.
They both
Steven, the innocent guy, it's like they both lied. You're not so innocent anymore. So then it could have been just a little bit more complex.
I agree. Because even in that scene, in regards to you killed my dad, that's how we end up getting. Like I think you even said it. That's how they, in a weird way. I hope that's not how. Like he's like, I need to marry her because I killed her. Like, or not killed, but I was around the death, and I'm trying to make amends to it. Like that's weird for him.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I thought like, oh, this man has a child. Let me go. Hello. Let me go meet. And then you fall. I don't think it was something like, oh, let me go marry this thing to fix it. Right. Maybe just like he wasn't expecting to fall in love. I thought it was that kind of thing. But you're right.
Your thoughts, Amanda? Is it? Do you feel differently about this situation of how she approached this reveal, or do you feel like naturally speaking, very much to? I guess Tony Stark did it. They were in the middle of taking out the Winter Soldier program and Zemo, but he had a personal thing. Like, you killed my mom. I don't care about Zemo. I care about you. Lying to me. So I guess that's the human side of it. Star-Lord did it in front of Thanos. So also I guess it shows the humans of these characters.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I feel like this was just used for convenience. I feel like they had to do a switch from Steven to Mark. How are we going to get Mark out of Steven in this case? They have the conversation, and then which leads to the next scene with Arthur Harrow. I feel like it was just out of convenience that they so happened to structure it this way. And that's why we're sitting here like, they could have done this and they could have done this, but why didn't they do that? So once it gets to like, they're doing it out of like, convenience to push it forward, that's where you lose the story. That's why the 6 episodes, and we're always going to go back to it, is just not strong enough to tell the story that they want to tell in this contained way, especially when you're trying to give Mark a backstory, you're trying to give Steven a backstory. And honestly, if Jake Lockley comes in the next 2 episodes, like, fam, like, what are you doing? Yeah. So that's what's upsetting. This should have been like 8 to 10, because you have to have, like, this is a new character on top of that, and you're exploring this. So when it comes to like convenient moments just to have a switch over to the next scene, that's where it loses me a bit. I still enjoyed that conversation because it's what it is. Like, that's what it's for, unfortunately.
In and out.
So like,
they could have teased the third personality at episode 6 for like a next season. Like, instead of giving us
Which I don't think we're getting another season, by
when
the
they're
way.
fighting those goons on the roof, and when we see that there's a third thing,
Yeah.
for us not to talk about that in a whole episode, I was
Yeah.
like, what was the point of that? Like, if you could have just made it so, like, okay, the viewer finally thinks we got this thing figured out, you know, and then you say, oh, at the end, like, oh, there's actually a third. Like, okay, now it's like a cliffhanger. It brings on some more, but it's like, what was the point? What did we gain from that in that moment when we first saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a theory on.
I
think we do.
the whole stumble down. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to that a little bit later. There's a theory. I do think we did see the third character in this episode a little bit later that we'll talk about. But Amanda and Chris also too. Before we move on, just a quick shout out to Lou. They had a quick question regarding connections. I guess, do you guys want this, as they're alluding to? You know, King the Conqueror does have Egyptian ties in the comics, and also we know Oscar Isaac, it's funny enough, played this Egyptian god in the X-Men for Apocalypse. Do you guys, again, we just talked about 6 episodes. I don't know if that's something to throw in the mix, but Amanda, starting with you, would you want any personal ties to either King the Conqueror and his ties to the Egyptian gods or Apocalypse?
Given how other Marvel shows went, it's either going to be really, really contained to the character in the universe, or there's going to get like a big cameo, big drop. I don't think that Moon Knight is going to connect to anything at the moment unless Oscar Isaac magically signs a contract. And we find out that he signs a contract for a season 2, for another Marvel movie, whatever. Like, for right now, if it's a limited series and we're only getting this one-off, I don't think that they're going to have such like grand connections, but they'll make the small ones without name dropping, I think.
Right, which I think in some, Justin brought, there's some Easter eggs with the Kang and also Apocalypse. Chris, same for you, man. Do you want the series to bear those moments, because this is the most Egyptian god show IP that we got in the MCU? Is this a missed opportunity, or is this something that you don't really necessarily need for them to introduce Kang and his connections in Apocalypse?
I mean, I would have liked it. I think it could be a missed opportunity, but I keep going back to the same point in the beginning. You know, when I guess Feige was like, don't look for a lot of connections to the larger MCU. So I keep going back to that whenever I get questions like that. But for me, I want everything to be connected. I want everything to lead to something, and just for the epic, like, little meta moment of like Apocalypse and Oscar, like, just to see what they would do with it.
Hey, maybe that's the third personality, Apocalypse. No, I'm joking.
Relax. Yeah.
All purpled up. And I think there was one more.
That's still a good movie. Get out of here.
Better than Dark Phoenix, I'll give you that. But
that's a low bar.
I don't think it's a bar. Caitlin, about the story of the partner. So we talked about it a little bit, Caitlin, just to kind of bring it up a little bit more. And they don't have to go this route, but you would assume that his partner he's referring to was Bushman. Raoul Bushman is the name that he goes by. He in the comics is very synonymous with Moon Knight. Like, this is Moon Knight's most like well-known villain, and he's someone that does turn on him and eventually gets connected to a god himself, and they go back and forth. So I think this is a character we can expect to see, whether it's a la flashback or in the present timeline, because Mark's under the assumption that he died, Bushman, but he gets resurrected. So I think we're safe to say we're going to see Bushman and then get a little bit more of that backstory of their relationship. And again, I know Amanda talked about limited series. There was an article I read last week that they're going to be putting themselves in the running for the Emmys for a limited series. And when you do that, the whole rule is you can't have a continuation. You can't have a season 2 if you submit yourself in that category. So I think they made that rule because of Big Little Lies submitted their Emmys a couple years ago, and then they came back a year later and did a season 2. So they had to put that rule in place for you can't do that. So
it's very interesting.
So I wonder if, again, I think we're going to get Moon Knight in a movie, but I don't know if we'll get a season 2 based on if they do submit them for the Emmys, which they did say that they will be doing. So that's the whole behind the scenes conversation, but we'll see what goes on with that. But getting back into the actual moment here, Arthur, as the villain that he is to be, kills our hero. And I saw, I wish I would have screenshot this. Someone said in one of the on Twitter somewhere that Arthur shot him twice because he shot Mark and also shot Steven. So I'm like, if that is the case, that's pretty awesome attention to detail. But tossing it to you first, Amanda, your thoughts on this moment before we lead into, is it in the head? Is it the afterlife? But we see our hero get shot down by Arthur himself. You can't help someone that doesn't want help. I
was shook. I'm like, they shot him. What's happening? I was like, what is happening? I like that moment. I thought it was cool. And then the camera work that comes afterwards was really sick. But I feel like this is another rebirth for Mark, for the character.
Nice.
And I think that
A
that's the
baptism of
best.
a sorts, huh?
Yes, I think that's the best way to describe this, considering who
Yeah,
Arthur
yeah.
Harrow is and how
Right.
much he knows Khonshu. So I think that's what it feels like for me.
I like that. I like that. What about you, Chris, in regards to this rebirth of a sense and our hero shooting Mark and Steven twice, once for good measure? Your thoughts on this whole scene?
Yeah, I think the episode was kind of like on a little mini lull for me at this moment. So I was not happy to see my man get shot, but
Yeah.
but it brought me, and I was like, oh wow, like this is not even like this is like actually happening. And so it was like a, oh wow, they actually did that moment for Disney. So I thought that was cool. And I was just wondering, like, damn, like, how are they gonna get out of this? Like, are they making it like he's really out of here? Like, I just had so many questions, which then I had a million more in the next 5 minutes. But yeah,
So random. I'm thinking about this now. I guess it ties into just our experience with the MCU, these shows. I can't remember the episode, but what episode was it in Loki when we thought Loki died when Sylvie, or not Sylvie, but who zapped him? Was it Ramona? When Ramona zapped him, or not
Right.
zapped him? What was the name that they called it when they
Oh,
hit him with the
the
sticks?
taser thingies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they help
I
us
know
out.
what you mean. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
what
forgot what
they
it's
call
called.
Was it the fourth episode that they did that? Because again, they left us on a cliffhanger. Did they really just kill Loki, our main character, only for him to be in the whatever that? I'm
Yeah.
forgetting his names
The
right
other
now.
world.
Other world, yeah.
Because then the post-credit scene with the rest of the Lokis was in that episode, I think, in 4.
Yeah.
Because they sent him to the
it's a
void
trend.
thingy.
Episodes 4
Yeah.
that makes us think that they're killing our main characters. But very interesting though. But we're gonna get into it here as far as where we think he is. But quick shout out to Truth and Wisdom, since this is a limited television streaming series. What do we think is the future? Oh, so we actually kind of somewhat alluded to it, but just to answer their question, starting with you, Amanda, future of Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac. We're assuming there's no season 2 on the table, but it doesn't mean he can't appear in other shows or other spin-off shows, a la Midnight Suns. But your thoughts on the future of this character, and particularly Oscar Isaac in the MCU?
I want to see him back. I don't care how. I don't care when. I would love to have like a Moon Knight trilogy if I could, but that's obviously not going to happen. I really, Chris.
I just said it's not going to happen. I didn't say I don't want it.
We don't know. I mean, Thor got 4
Optimistic.
films. Cap got 4 films. Hey,
I mean, why not?
Yes.
But I really love this character. I really love it. I don't want to see him gone. But I do think, since you brought up Midnight Suns, I do think that they will handle that maybe in What If instead of
Ooh, that would be
actually
dope.
doing something
Introduce
else.
it
So
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to end up happening, because
like
that's like the easiest way to do it without casting people or like, just
Yeah.
trying to get everyone together. So yeah, I think that's where it's going to be next, Moon Knight.
I like it. I like it. What about you, Chris, in regards to the future of Moon Knight and Oscar Isaac in the MCU? Spin-off shows, appearances in shows, and do they give him a solo film altogether?
I don't know that he gets a solo film. I mean, I'm really curious to see what the ratings are for this show so far.
Yeah.
But I think he needs to be continued. He needs to be with the other heroes. Well, I don't know if it's a hero or not yet, but he needs to be with the other MCU characters, because on his own, like, he's doing some fire shit for people who don't know about his lore. He could definitely hang with the larger group, especially Oscar as an actor can hang with the other group. So like, I need to see him in other stuff. I don't need a standalone movie, but like, why not bring him into a Blade movie? Why not bring him into to the Kang world?
I love it, man. Yeah, Blade. Hopefully, we get. I think that's a perfect placement to see a Moon Knight character, as well as Kit Harington's character, Black Knight. I would love to see him come back. Of course, you got your Ghost Riders and all that stuff. So yeah, I think there's definitely room to get more Moon Knight stories. I don't think we'll get a season 2, but again, I do expect to get a la Defenders on Netflix, a la a big crossover TV show with characters like Moon Knight and other characters that are attached to them. But great
to
question.
See a moment too, like to see a moment like Moon Knight in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And Fury is trying to like recruit him, and then Moon Knight's like laughing, like I don't get recruited, like
right.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
I move on my own, and then he kind of goes like on some.
Or
Batman.
Steven is like, yeah, let's join him, Mike. And then Mark's
Yeah,
like,
he's
no,
like-
we do this solo. And then
Yeah,
we have this third
exactly.
personality. Forget all this nonsense.
I love
Yeah.
this.
Let's get it. But quick shout out to you, Truth and Wisdom. Appreciate the super chat. Great question, man. But moving on to the big moment that has everyone on the internet talking, speculating, theorizing about what does this mean? What is the future for this character? The whole M. Night's twist, they've been dead the whole time, or this has been a dream the whole time. I have my theories, but I want to start with you, Amanda. Number one, is it all in his head? Was this whole 4 episodes or 3 episodes to say was it all made up in his head? Because we see the police officers are in this mental facility. We see his boss is there. Obviously, Lila's there. We'll get to Arthur. Was it all made up, or do you have theories on what we're actually seeing Mark and Steven in this situation?
At first, I thought it was made up. I thought that maybe it was like actually Mark sitting there and then everything was in his head. But for me, there were too many callbacks to like little objects that were placed in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Him being latched to the wheelchair, him being latched to the bed. The cane with Arthur, which obviously clues in. The name Stephen Grant in the movie, the Moon Knight figurine, all of that stuff that we picked up on was in previous episodes. So I don't think it's that. I personally think because we did see a third sarcophagus where we see like Stephen in one of them in the other room, and Mark bumps into him there. There is a third one. I personally think that this is all in Jake Lockley's head. And I think that that's how we're going to introduce him in episode 5. And then it just adds on to this other character that's coming in.
Okay, a lot of you heard it here, guys. Amanda, she's like the Charlie Day meme on Sunny, like putting all the stuff like this is here, this is there. But Chris, man, we'll always love to hear your thoughts, my friend. Your thoughts, your initial impression when you saw this. Is this just a cheap ploy? Was this because I hate when movies? I don't use the hate. But when movies do the whole, it's all a dream. It was all dead the whole time. It's like we've seen that, been there, done that. Plus, this is in the comics. Can we do something a little bit more original? Your thoughts on if it is in his head? Someone mentioned Legion earlier, which, by the way, one of the best superhero shows ever. Very Legion moment at that point. Did you buy into it, man, or were you like, come on, Marvel, we know this ain't gonna end this way, it's gonna be more story to be told?
Yeah, I actually figured the whole thing out. Actually, no, I'm
There
just
it
joking. No, when it was happening, I was like, oh, like a dream sequence, got it. And then like they kept getting deeper and deeper, and it gave me again a lot of Wanda flashbacks where it was like,
good call.
A lot of Wanda flashbacks where it's like, oh, did you see this thing on the counter? Like, did you see the date on the calendar that was circled? Like, it's like, oh, when he was at work, like I was like, oh wait, this is giving me like a lot of flashbacks there.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Amanda just saying that right then, that makes a lot of sense with the Jake reveal. If you got shot twice, you killed 2 personalities, but there's still a third there floating around for Jake to be like, okay, what? These are the things that these guys have been seeing. It's like a dream. Like you go through your day, you walk through, your life, and then when you go to sleep at night, your brain just puts these random things like, remember you saw that cat fighting in the street? Yeah, they bring that in. Remember you saw this on TikTok, and it brings it in. So maybe it's just like all the random things that Mark and Steven have been dealing with. That Jake this is how his brain puts it together to then move forward.
I like it, you guys. This is why we do this, to have these type of conversation. I think, Amanda and Chris are definitely onto something there. And to even flush it out a little bit more in regards to, again, we see Lila in the facility. Again, that movie was funny, by the way. I can't even remember the tombs of something, very Indiana Jones moment. We get the action figure, which, Amanda, you want the merchandise. You gonna pick up this hot toy for $5,000?
100. Whoa. I will get Jake Lockley to pay for it, and then I will.
There you go. But again, going back again, it's all just the aesthetic of it all looks very kind of off tilted. We get the moment with Arthur having a conversation in regards to, as Amanda mentioned, you see the cane, you see the Egyptian paintings, tying it all to it. But I think this was the moment here that I actually kind of appreciated, because it's the first time this entire show where actually Mark was so excited. I mean, ecstatic to see his boy Steven. He hugs him like like that little meme where the little kids haven't seen each other in a while. And he hugs him.
Oh yeah,
That was a genuine
yeah.
moment. I'm
So
not gonna
cute.
lie. And he's like, "Hey, what was the last thing you remember?" They're on the same page. Amanda, your thoughts quickly on before we get into this third identity, and then obviously the big hippo character at the end. But did you feel for this moment? Were you there with these characters?
I was so happy that they hugged. I'm like, Mark, you love him. This is great. Like, let's keep it moving. That apparently, I think I read on Twitter that was actually his brother as the double.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I read. I'm like, that's so cute. I'm like,
That's how he's
that's
been
such a
reading
great
these
moment.
scenes because of someone that knows him very personally. So it makes sense that you would get someone to attach to him. But yeah, yep.
I love that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's really strong. They see that they need each other, that they want each other in their lives to try to figure this out. And obviously, if they are like together now against Jake, or like trying to figure out who the other character, like the other personality is, I think this is the moment that defines their relationship. So I think that's really
Yeah.
cool moving forward in the next 2 episodes.
I agree. Chris, man, your thoughts on this reunion of a sorts of kind of, what is that? Olsen twin movie, It Takes Two, I think was the name of it. Of
Yeah.
them having a
It
twin
was
out
definitely
moment
It
there.
Takes Two. It was definitely It Takes Two. Those girls always up to no good. I thought that scene was good, and I was just really I was looking for like editing mistakes and just like where it would look cheesy. Well done.
Clean.
It was very
yeah.
clean. It was very well done. And if that's his brother, that's like another level of like, okay, it's not like your average body double. That's dope. I thought that was a real dope scene.
I agree, man. And then two, before we kind of get into, as Amanda alluded to, Amanda was on point with the rebirth moment there. Truth with another super chat, $4.99. Marvel need way more one-off singular stories and movies, whereas the ideas Avengers appearing is and will not be enough even a thought. Yeah, I think speaking of one-offs, DC at this point, Amanda, I mean, we just dismantled the universe. As Miller. Anyway, your thoughts, Amanda, on the whole singular stories and kind of solo individuals, and then having these, team up movies every now and then. Your thoughts on this comment here?
I completely agree. I think that if they do more character-driven stories that's contained, I think that's where people talk about it a bit more. They enjoy those stories. They connect with the characters a bit more. If like something like Hawkeye, where it was like cameo, we're waiting for those cameos, it kind of falls apart. The show did do that well, in my honest opinion. I didn't really like it for that reason, because you're just waiting for the next big thing to come up in the show. So the more contained it is, the more focused on the character backstory, the emotions, grounding them if they are superheroes. So to ground them in some human emotions, I think that is their strength. And I completely agree that they should just stay away from popping in the cameos. As much as we love it, we get it, but let's save it for an Avengers movie and not do these crossovers all the time.
I agree. Chris, man, any takes on this one, my friend?
That's very well executed, sir. But I really agree, and I always talk about how I want everything to be connected, but that doesn't mean that I don't want the standalone content. Like I like the idea of Moon Knight on its own, but I don't want you to kill off Moon Knight and keep it in its little, this little vacuum and not have it cross over. Like people say what they want about Captain Marvel, the film, but when she shows up in the next movie, it makes more sense because we know this whole background of her coming in, and her movie didn't have a ton of crossover, like cameos and all that kind of stuff. It was just like her story. It's her whole story. You got to sell it on your own, and then when you come in, it makes more sense of like where you came from, what you're doing, why you're so powerful. So like that's why I want to see. Like I love this show on its own. I don't need cameos in this show. Yeah, but I do want to see Moon Knight cross over into some other content to then see how it connects to the rest of the universe. I think that's like the value of it. Like that's the connective tissue of all of this stuff, is that people want to see how they interact with these other guys and gals.
I agree, man. And this has been the theme of Phase 4, is this introduction of these, Shang-Chi, Eternals, now Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. Obviously,
imagine not seeing Shang-Chi and with like interacting with like like a Star-Lord or something like that, or even a Spider-Man, where Spider-Man's like, wow, like how cool is that? I just need to see that kind of stuff.
I agree, man. But
Yeah.
again, shout out to Truth and Wisdom with the super chat, and also shout out to you all when we were skipping on the name. I couldn't think of it. Pruned. They were pruning them. Yes, that's
There we
what
go.
the name of it was. Shout out to you guys, and another quick shout out to Truth and Wisdom. Another super chat. Appreciate the love and support, Biggie. It was all a dream. Yeah. That would have been dope if they played that at the end. That would have been. What was this? Was it every week they've had some pretty cool mic drops? Was it anything special? Because I know they did like Big Pimpin' last week, and I can't remember what was the ending song they did, the remix song. But the soundtrack has been fire this season. But
Yeah.
wrapping this all up, Amanda alluded to it, but just to put
See what
it
she
on
did
the
there?
screen, yeah. As
Unintentional.
Amanda brought up on the screen earlier, where was it at here? I think, in Chris, you were talking about the third person. I think this is when it could be wrong, but I think, as Amanda said earlier, I think this could be pointing towards that third personality in that sarcophagus, in that tomb. And I think next week, I'm glad they don't give us trailers, but it's safe to assume that Jake, if it is Jake, Steven and Mark will have to work together to get out of the situation, because we end the episode with them running into this Tait, I think is how you pronounce the god's name, the hippo god, which, looking it up online, apparently this god is the god of fertility, which goes back to Amanda's thing, rebirth, bringing birth, but also I believe it said that this god is attached to not bringing people back to life, but they can guide people in the afterlife. So I think that and I think that the actress that plays Steven's boss is voicing this character, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read an article on that a little bit earlier. So your thoughts, Amanda, on how we wrapped up the episode, and I think they said that this hippo god is going to be a character that we're going to see in the future episodes, because she's probably going to be guiding them out of this afterlife.
I'm excited. I think this is the perfect way to end off this episode. We were all confused, and now we're theorizing, pushing into episode 5. I think it was really smart to end it off this way, because we're also doing research, as you just did, E. Like, you're doing your research, you're trying to figure out what's happening, what's going to possibly happen in episode 5. So I really like that. I just want to say that having Oscar Isaac doubled on screen has been a joy to watch. And I just love that Mark and Steven, when they did scream after she said hi in that high-pitched voice, where
It was different, right?
It was different. And I'm looking at
yeah.
Oscar. I was like, I love you. Like, your voice work is incredible, where Steven's going really high and then Mark is keeping it at a lower octave. So I'm just blown away by his performance. I think that the work on this character, the VFX work on the hippo, is like impeccable. They didn't like mess anything up in this case. Like, it looks really clean. So yeah, I'm just excited for how like episode 5 is going to come about. I do think it's going to be Jake, and I do agree with you that she will be guiding all 3 of them, if not both of them, through Jake's mind. Maybe in a way that could be a possibility, but we are going to see Jake Lockley next week for sure.
I agree. Well said, man. Chris, your thoughts on Turip, if I'm saying that right, this god that helps rebirth, but also helps people through the afterlife. Are you excited to get more of this hippo god and her connections to these 3 personalities?
Yeah, I don't know what I was even seeing. I guess how did they say it? Also, is it Taweret? I don't even know how to say it, but I'm reading here. It's like protective ancient Egyptian goddess of childbirth and fertility, like you said. Means she who is great, or simply the great one. But yeah, I think, and it has to be Jake. I think we get that pretty much blatant because of the posters that they've released. The hoodie poster is like the third look, which kind of looks like the cab look from the comics, which somewhat I've seen of Jake. So it has to be that. But yeah, I was like, damn, like it was already confusing enough, and then the freaking hippo comes out of nowhere, and it's so like, and it's like it's not a threat hippo, it's just like a friendly hippo. It looked like something from Sing 2. I was like, this is a lot, man. This is a lot. But we're gonna wait. I was happy that that everybody will be watching it together on episode 5, because I was like, man, this is
fresh,
crazy.
Yeah. No, to my knowledge, correct if I'm wrong, man, I don't think they gave out 5 or 6 to like anyone. I'm not talking about just press. I'm talking about like even the, people that not work on a project, but people that are higher than a press, whoever that is. But I don't think anyone's seen 5 or 6.
They gave 5. They
they
gave
did?
5. Yeah. So it was like scattered from what I heard, and people were posting their like reviews for it without giving away. But that's why when I saw like a friend of mine message me, they're like, oh, did you get 5? I'm like, what are you talking about? Did I get 5? So I was like scrolling through my email, got nothing,
Yeah.
but some people did get it.
Oh, okay.
So they said that there's a bit more of Mark from what
In
I'm
episode 5.
understanding. Yeah, from what
Okay.
I
Was this
read.
on the initial was this the first press thing that they gave out? Or like recently they gave out 5?
Recently,
Oh, okay.
people just when they extended the 4
Yeah,
episodes.
which I got yeah.
So when
They
they
also
extended, they kind of a couple days later they did
check
5.
my
So
check my email right quick. I don't
was
think I got
lying
it.
at
But to answer, I haven't seen 5. I don't think Amanda says she hasn't seen
Nada.
5. We
Yep.
definitely haven't seen 6. But
Yeah.
yeah, as far as what you guys said, I'm excited to see more of this character. If it is indeed someone that we can trust and help them guide them through this, existential
No, that high
crisis
was
or
too
a
cheery,
mind
man.
burn.
That thing was ready to help.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think if, like Amanda said, if it's to be true, I think that is an episode to explore. Number one, the Mark situation with what was it that snapped? When he talked to Lila on the boat, like I had it under control for the longest until most recently. What was that moment? We've been speculating all season about his parents and particularly his mom. Are they alive, or did they pass away? Did they leave based on his condition? And I'm trying to think, is there any other unanswered big questions? Well, we talked about Bushman earlier, and I guess Arthur. Right now, Lila has the Ahmed thing. Is he going to chase her down? Is he going to ultimately get what he wants? Will the gods step in and believe Khonshu, and will he be released? Will Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, come back? I guess that's what we have 2 more episodes for, which I guess ending it off, Chris, those were what I hope to see next week. If they could fit all that into an hour, that would be great, but probably not. But
Love
your hopes and predictions and theories of what we can expect in next week's episode.
We can expect a lot of answers because we have a lot of questions about this whole
Yes, sir.
scene, how we
Yes,
ended
sir.
it. We'll expect, I guess, more conversation around the father who was killed. And I guess just how, like, maybe, I guess I was just thinking, like, maybe is it Sanju? Was it? What's the
Which
god's
character?
name that they're the avatar for?
Oh, Khonshu.
Yeah, I thought maybe
Yeah.
like Conjure would have to be rescued to then bring Mark
to
and
get the
Steven
suits
back.
and all that. Yeah.
To get the suits back. But Marvel knows that they can't give us another episode without the suits. So
Yeah, I agree.
curious to see how they exactly do it.
Yeah. And also, too, and before we get to Amanda, I think Amanda alluded to it earlier online. I forgot to bring this up earlier. This was episode 1 that they brought this up.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny enough, it kind of ties into the character that we're seeing here in the episode. So the seeds have been planted since the very beginning, which, again, you always appreciate Marvel and the little Easter eggs. But Amanda, your thoughts, theories, predictions of a journey amongst the 3 personalities and the answers you hope to get next week.
Honestly, I just want to know if they are going to show a third personality. Like, I really want to know if Jake's going to show up. If they stretch it to episode 6, I'm going to kind of be annoyed because, like, he's also an important factor in the Moon Knight character. So hopefully we do get Jake. I want to know more about Mark Spector.
Yeah,
I feel like we know so much about Steven, and that's great. Like, that's cool.
He's the
We're trying to-
man.
we know. We like him. I'm not saying that we don't like him, but Mark is the more interesting character if you really look at it. So I think that if it's more Mark heavy in 5 with the intro of Jake Lockley, like, I hope that can kind of work out. Maybe Jake and Mark know each other longer. That could be a possibility in 5 that we could get, but I want to know more about Mark. I really do. I don't know how they're going to answer everything else, but I want to know more about Mark.
I agree, and I think we're gonna get that again based on the stuff you've heard of Man, and plus I just think this makes sense. We haven't gotten any really backstory and understanding of the character, and I think we're gonna get that that flashback that alluded to Lila's dad passing and meeting Bushman. And I don't know too. We talked about a couple weeks ago with the gentleman who unfortunately passed away. I don't know if they get back into the mix. Midnight Moon, I can't think of the character's name, but I wonder if he's going to come back, maybe team up with Arthur. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and if there is a cameo, which we don't know if there is, but I think we talked about it, that if there were to be a cameo, it would make sense for like someone like the Hulk or Bruce Banner to be a cameo, since he's someone that deals with another very big personality in the Hulk. So I don't know if episode 5, because I think every show episode 5 is the one when they do the cameo. We
Yeah.
got that with Quicksilver. We got that with, I want to say, Loki when they introduced the other Lokis, and then Hawkeye. Was it did we
Yeah,
get
it was Kingpin in 5.
in that 5?
And
Yeah,
then
when he looked on the phone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Chris, Amanda, do we get again, I know we talked about this whole time, we don't need it, but do you think Marvel just can't help themselves? Will there be a cameo next week? And if it is there anyone in mind that you would maybe like to see?
It definitely won't be the Hulk.
I don't know,
I
Chris.
can't see
He's
them
been
doing it.
popping up in Shang-Chi. He's been doing his rounds.
And that's why I said he wouldn't, because like they just gave us that Hulk and Shang. So I wouldn't bet on the Hulk, but I'm cool with a quick little episode 5 cameo. If it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're just in a world of their own. They're like, who could it possibly be that makes sense?
Who would? Yeah, I'm trying to think who would.
They could need a lawyer.
Oh God.
In the form of Daredevil or Jennifer Walters as She-Hulk.
I don't think they'll do Jennifer. I think they may do Matt. If Jake Lockley's in New York, could be Daredevil, possibly.
Interesting. I'm putting my money on the Hulk, on Bruce Banner. He needs a vacation. He's in Cairo right now. He comes across
that'll probably be the biggest one, literally.
Figuratively and literally the biggest cameo. Which I can see it happening because of Bruce and his whole situation, how he was able to work together with Professor Hulk, which you guys know how I feel about that
yes, we do.
disgrace of the Hulk. But quick, another shout out again, Truth and Wisdom dropping all the money tonight, and I appreciate the support. What does a con man put on his feet? A con
shoe.
Nice,
that's a good joke.
Nice. Ba-doom,
Good
ba-doom.
joke.
Listen, where can we find your stand-up specials, Truth and Wisdom? Give us that link. Give us that. We got Caitlin saying, I don't need a cameo. Definitely, I don't think we need it, but I don't know. I think Marvel can't help themselves. Definitely not the Hulk. Well, let us know then who you guys want. Who do you think it's going to be if it's not going to be the Hulk? But before we wrap it all up, Amanda, any final thoughts on this whole episode? And if you were to rank this out of the 4, if it's where do you put it?
Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. I just I was just so interested in everything that happened in this episode. I love the twist. It went from the mummy to like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, please
in a
no.
split second.
I'm sorry, man. I saw that comment there. Please don't let that be.
It could be Morbius. Come on. No, it's a Sony property, but oh my God, it could be Morbius. I'm joking. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. This is like first overall for me. This is on track to be my favorite MCU show. Deadass. So yeah.
Wow, very interesting. Someone remind me, Hulk was he was in the post-credit scene with Captain Marvel. Chris, man, your final take, your final thoughts, rankings, if you would, on where this episode lands for you.
This episode lands at the top. Maybe it's my favorite, and then the next one would be like episode 1, followed by 2, then 3. Yes.
Yeah, that would be Wakandan or Eternals 2 or 3. Okay. Yeah, for me, again, you guys, heard my gripes with the romance and kind of the time and place for everything. I think for me, it's might be my least favorite episode if I'm thinking about it. If I'm being honest, I'm putting 3. Well, I'm putting 2, 3, 1 over this. I think this is and not saying it's the like terrible, but I think I was more intrigued and more invested into those other narratives. But
it's a hot take.
We'll see what episode 5 and 6 have up the sleeve.
See, Elliot can make hot takes too. Man, you're not the only one.
This is a hot take. I can't.
Well, there you have it, guys. We talked up top about the Thor Love and Thunder trailer and gave you all our thoughts on that. We obviously broke down this episode with you all with our thoughts, theories, and predictions, and we had a ball doing so. Again, shout out to every single one of you all watching live. Shout out to Truth and Wisdom with the love and support with the super chats, as well as earlier in the stream we had Silver Scale drop some love as well. So I can't thank you all enough for supporting the channel and watching us discuss everything tonight. So again, before you head out, make sure you like the video, share it, leave your thoughts in the comment section after you're done watching this, especially for the replay gang out there. Love the support there. But wrapping it all up, tossing it to you, Chris, where can the people find you and what's next on Tait's Take, my friend?
Yes, what's up, fine people? Thanks for joining the chat today. Obviously, a good discussion with the homies, Ace Club. You guys can obviously find me at Tait's Take. All my information is in the description of this video. A lot of the friendly faces in the chat. So shout out to y'all joining us week after week. What's next on Tait's Take? I'm gonna be watching. There's got a new Marilyn Monroe documentary coming to Netflix next week. So I'm looking to do a review on that. And then I think there's another Netflix movie that I'll be dropping next week as well. So next couple days, you'll see I'll be watching that stuff. And then I think Monday I'll have my video out for Marilyn Monroe. So that's what's next.
Nice, man. Well, speaking of, Ana de Armas has a Marilyn Monroe movie that apparently is like NA super crazy stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing later this year. But yeah, check out Chris, guys. Links in the bio. Show him some love and support. Subscribe, do all that great stuff. Great content creator, even better person. Which meaning tossing it over to you, Amanda. Where can the people find you, and what's the next bit of content you got lined up for the fine folks?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. This hat was custom made by Stefano Bove_art on Instagram, so go check him out. He has Captain America caps, Loki caps, and obviously Moon Knight. So if you want some merch, you can go there. I have my Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent review on my website and my YouTube. The links are below. And I have The Northman coming up, so I'm pretty excited for that this weekend.
Excellent.
Awesome. And also, man, I know you got Amanda, you're a part of the other group that you'll be on tonight doing another stream. Where can people find that stream?
Yeah, and literally in the next 10 minutes, you guys can follow
Busy
the Suit
person.
Up Geeks. Yeah, you guys can follow the Suit Up Geeks on YouTube. We do
Suit Up Geeks?
breakdowns. The Suit Up Geeks, yeah, the four of us. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram. We have another stream right after this one, which is great. You get to talk about Moon Knight with all of these gems. So yeah, tonight there, check it out. 7:40-ish now that we're gonna probably do the live stream. So
Well, let me get you out of here, man. If you can get a cup of water or something to bite to eat before you, give them all your hot takes and awesome takes tonight. And before we head out, quick shout out to Travis. No comment, just a super sticker showing some love. So thank you, Travis, and thank you all again for watching us. We got some love in the chat. I always love these discussions. So for myself, Amanda, Chris, thank you all for watching, and we will catch you guys next week talking episode 5, where Bruce Banner will make a cameo.
Good call.